Hello, Internet. It is I, the Malik Aaron, and welcome back to Box Office Predictions. Today we're going to be talking about Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga. So, as usual, we're going to be going over the pros and cons. So, let's get to it. Pros. So, this is technically the fifth Mad Max movie. Technically, series has started all the way back in 1980. Yes, it is indeed that old. You had Mad Max, you had Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior, and they had Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, all directed by one George Miller. And then for 30 years, no Mad Max on the big screen until it came back in 2015 with Mad Max Fury Road, which starred Tom Hardy, who replaced Mel Gibson as Mad Max, and also Charlize Theron as Furiosa. And that movie, this, expectations were a little muted because, I mean, sure, the trailers looked great, the movie looked great, but again, it's been 30 years since the last Mad Max movie, so how many people are going to be that interested in the property, considering that large gap of time? Well, it turns out a decent amount of people were interested in it because it did quite all right. I mean, it didn't do incredible, but for what it is, I say its performance was pretty solid. It opened with like 45 million, made like 153 million domestic, 369 million worldwide on a budget of 150 million. That's okay. That is definitely okay. And the thing is, it wasn't even the number one movie of the weekend when it released. It was number two behind Pitch Perfect 2, which did it way better at 69 million. Like this was like in 2015 May. Like look at how May is this year. I mean, like this weekend right here in 2015, it looks incredible in comparison. But yeah, Mad Max Fury Road was not only a hit financially, but critically is an absolute smash. Like people love this movie to death, for quite a few reasons, for how it looks, the action, just how it feels. It's just so different from everything else that was out at that point. And it was so different. It was a good type of different. And it won quite a few Oscars as a result, and it's considered one of the best action movies of the 21st century. So now here we are 9 years later with, well, it's not really a follow up because it's a prequel slash spinoff, but it's still connected mainly because they both share the Furiosa character. But this, coming out like after Fury Road, and I would say Mad Max's overall the brand name recognition. I'll label that as a pro because the movies are well received. I think Beyond Thunderdome is probably the worst out of the bunch. But even then, it's not like it's a terrible movie or anything. It's just like different, but not in the best way. So, so brand name recognition, I'll label that as a pro. And I guess I could label the fact that Fury Road was such a hit, especially, in terms of reputation. I'll label that as a pro too. That's two pros. Another pro is that this movie has very strong reviews. It has a 90% critic score, 93% audience score. Its cinema score is, let me see, a B plus, which is just above acceptable. What was Mad Max's Fury Road? What was that? A B plus. Okay. So it's the same grade. Okay. So reviews really really good. Not quite as good as Fury Road, but still 90% is excellent. Its audience score is solid, and its cinema score is all right. So overall, word of mouth is good across the board. So I'm gonna label that as a pro. Another pro is the fact that when it comes to like direct competition, like right now, I mean, you have Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, but that's 2 weeks old. Fall Guys is gone. Well, it's not gone, but that thing is literally on PVOD and direct, I guess, on demand, like for $20 already, and May isn't even over yet. That's how sad that whole thing was. And the other movies come out this week, and they're not direct competition. Garfield, that's going after a completely different market. Same goes for Sight. Next weekend is a joke. It is nothing. It's a dead weekend. It's a total freebie. So we won't have anything serious to deal with until Bad Boys Ride or Die, and that won't come out till 2 weeks from now, June 7th. So this movie has time before it deals with anything serious. So I'm gonna label that as a pro. I'm trying to think of some other pros. I guess the advertising campaign, it's definitely there. Warner Brothers, they're not just throwing this out there, they're putting some effort into selling this movie. So I gotta label that as a pro. Any other pros? I guess I could label like the cast. Our main two, Anna Taylor Joy, who's Furiosa in this movie. Originally it was Charlize Theron in Fury Road, and George Miller. Apparently, he could have done like de aging with Charlize, but he just didn't want to do it. So instead, he just got like a younger actress to play like a younger version of the character. So we got Anna Taylor Joy. Anna Taylor Joy, she has, she's been building up a bit of a following in the last few years. I mean, like I first recognized, like her first movie technically was The Witch back in 2016. She also played like a role in Split, which is a pretty big role in Split, where her character got kidnapped by James McAvoy. There's Glass, New Mutants. let's move on from that one. Northman, The Menu. I know The Menu is bound to be like a cult classic at this point. She voiced Princess Peach in the Super Mario Brothers movie. Now here we are with Furiosa. So I'd say like, I wouldn't say that she's a box office draw or anything, but she is well known, and that's better than being a complete nobody. And then we got Chris Hemsworth, Thor, doing something different for a change, not being Thor. But yeah, like technically, like in Star Trek, the 2009 one, he was like Chris Pine's dad in that movie. But like his main claim to fame would be Thor, being the god of thunder in the MCU. That first movie, and then the Avengers, and then Dark World, and then Age of Ultron, and Thor Ragnarok, and Infinity War, and Endgame, and Love and Thunder, but no one really wants to talk about that one. Not even Chris himself. He doesn't like that movie either. Um. So yeah, he's well known because of Thor, but he's done other movies, not just Thor. There's Cabin in the Woods. There's Perfect Getaway. No one even remembers that, but Cabin in the Woods, that's a cult classic. Snow White and the Huntsman was a hit. Red Dawn was not a hit. Rush, I guess it did all right overseas, but in the States, no one gave a damn. Black Hat, no one. I'm not, I'm 100% positive none of you even watched that. I know I didn't. Vacation, I think he was more of an extended cameo in that movie because I did watch that movie. He was just kind of there for a bit and then he was gone. So In the Heart of the Sea, oof. Husband Winter's War, oof. Ghostbusters 2016, big oof. He was probably maybe the best part of that movie, but even then he was just there just to be like a dumb himbo. That was basically his whole character. This 12 Strong, Men in Black International, ugh. But he does have the Extraction movies on Netflix. Those are pretty big hits, but they're not relevant here. So, yeah, Chris Hemsworth, his track record when he's not Thor, it's not too good, but he is still very much a recognizable face, without a doubt recognizable. And I just watched Furiosa. Yeah, I watched this several hours ago. in the theater, and Chris Hemsworth, man, he was incredible. Honestly, I loved his his name is Dementus, which is a hell of a name. Loved his character. I thought it was fantastic. You know, it was definitely about probably the best I've ever seen of him, to be honest. But yeah, so our two leads, their track records aren't great, but they are recognizable. So I'm gonna label that as a pro. Any other pros? I can't think of any other pros. Okay, cons. A big con with this movie is the fact that Mad Max, even though it's well known and it has a good reputation, in terms of popularity, it's not that big in the grand scheme of things. It really isn't. I mean, going back to the OG Mad Max movies from the 80s, like when you think of 80s movies, what are the first movies that come to mind? You probably think of E.T., Back to the Future, the Indiana Jones trilogy, or Ghostbusters, or Gremlins, or Top Gun, or any of them. Mad Max is usually not like the first thing that comes to mind. Like those movies, they didn't even do that great back in the day. They only did like okay, moderate in the grand scheme of things. So it was already like a cult series. It never reached past like cult status, at least for those first three movies. And then Fury Road, I mean, sure, it's a box office wise a huge step up from the others, but as I said, his box office run was merely just okay, just good, and that's it. Like it's not great. So to make another one, I mean, it's already risky. Making an expensive Mad Max movie is very risky. But this one's even more of a risk because it's not only a spin-off to Fury Road, but it's a prequel as well. And not only that, you're getting a different actress to portray Furiosa. Yeah, I don't know. So like, just the cult status of the Mad Max movies, even with Fury Road, that's a con, and just the fact that this is both like a prequel and a spin-off, like that's usually not great for a series. Like spin-offs, sometimes they do well, sometimes they don't. Prequels, same thing. But to combine the two, that's a real risk. So, the fact that it's a spin-off slash prequel, that's a bit of a con. And there's also the fact that it's been 9 years since Mad Max Fury Road. And I mean, compared, I mean, obviously that's not the most extreme gap when it comes to sequels that we've seen. We've seen sequels to come out like 20, 30, 40 years ago, 40-year gaps, but 9 years is not great. I guess for this as a franchise installment, a 9-year gap is not great. So because you risk people forgetting all about it. I mean, like Mad Max Fury Road, I remember people talking about it, like in 2015, a little in 2016, and then just nothing is just gone from the public consciousness until like recently. So yeah, that 9-year gap, that is, I'd say that's trouble. So that's a con. Another con is his Thursday previews. They're not awful, but they're not that good. It's 3.5 million, especially for a movie like this movie. It's not, it doesn't say here, but it's expensive. We're talking 168 million. I think that's the number I've seen. So a preview number like that isn't good. I mean, look, with Fury Road, I think it shows preview numbers. Is it there? Yeah, it is. It's 3.7, but keep in mind this is 9 years ago. The market was so much different back then. That was a whole different era back then before everything, went to shit with COVID and strikes and all that. So we're in a different environment. So the fact that this didn't even make as much as Fury Road, concerns me a lot. So yeah, weak Thursday preview is going to label that as a con. And I guess I can mention another con is that the marketplace, man, it is just pathetic. Real pathetic. So, like, this is May. Like, this is summer season. Ideally, you want summer season to start out white hot. You want to, start with a ton of momentum. You don't want to start in a hole. And this year, thanks to all those, those strikes from last year, the May schedule this year, the box office is in a hole that's like, I don't even know how deep, like 6, 12, 24 feet under, 48 feet under when you really think about it, because like Fall Guy bombed. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes has done okay, and If didn't set the world on fire. So May is shit, and I don't think this is gonna help at all. So yeah, just a really depressed marketplace, a really sad marketplace. That's never good. So I'm gonna label that as a con. And I think that's it with pros and cons. I think I've covered everything. Okay, so opening weekend. Initially, like a couple weeks ago, I was thinking, okay, maybe this could hit like 40, 50 million for the holiday week. Oh, I forgot to mention it's Memorial Day. Um, it's a big holiday. Historically, it's a huge holiday. I mean, the past 2 years have been quite all right for the holiday. I mean, 2022, you got Top Gun Maverick broke the record, a record that lasted like 15 years for Memorial Day, and that ended up being like the biggest hit of 2022 domestically, making over 700 million. Something that I don't think we're gonna see at all this year. And even last year, I mean, the Little Mermaid remake, sure, it wasn't like a hit, but it still opened with over 100 million. The 4-day weekend last year, which this year it looks incredible compared to what we're gonna see this year. But yeah, so Memorial Day is historically like a big holiday. Every movie's gonna get like some type of boost because of Sunday, and Sunday and then Monday there's gonna be a bit of a boost. So yeah, I'm gonna label that as a pro. But anywho, so I was thinking 40, 50 million. Then I looked at the early Friday numbers and weekend numbers, and oh my god, it is it is so bad. I can't even. It's so fucking bad. It's just this is expected right now to in the 3-day weekend hit the high 20s, and then the 4-day fucking low 30s. I just I never would have guessed it would be this awful. I just didn't. Like I wanted to be optimistic, but like I knew a lot was going against this movie. There was quite a bit going against it, but I didn't never thought it would be this dire, like this just awful. But I'm just gonna go with the numbers like I saw. So 3-day weekend, I'm gonna say 30 million for the 3-day weekend, and 4-day weekends like uh I don't know, 35 to 40 million. And then it's total. I want this movie to have good legs. It should, but I don't know. um, Next weekend it shouldn't have that big of a drop because like what the hell's coming out next weekend? Nothing, nothing of any importance. So I don't think it's gonna make 100 million. That's oof, maybe 80 to 90 million if it's lucky, which would be awful considering its budget. It's look, this movie is gonna be a bust, another big budget bust, just like Fall Guy, which really hurts because I like both Fall Guy and Furiosa. They both deserve better, and people just aren't watching them, and it just really pisses me off. Honestly, it annoys the shit out of me. But what can I do? I did my part, but no one else wanted to do theirs. So oh well. So yeah, so that was Furiosa. And we got two more movies to discuss. We got the Garfield movie and we got Sight. And that'll be it for the weekend. So yeah, make sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, share, notifications, the whole drill. Want to check out more videos like this? I got playlists on the homepage, all previous prediction videos I made this year. You want to watch any of them I made this year, the past few years, go right ahead. It's also the canceled series where I go over all the movies that were supposed to come out but didn't. Um, let's see. I covered Furiosa. I know I did. Forgot when. Okay, it was one time. It was episode 79. It's from 3 years ago. God damn. Um Talked about it. Apparently it got delayed to 2024. I think it was supposed to be 2023, maybe. But then it got delayed to 2024, which was like a long time ago back then. And then I also talked about Salem's Lot, a movie that was supposed to be theatrical until it wasn't, and now it's going to be a Max movie later this year, supposedly. So yeah, that was the one only time I talked about it properly. Although I did mention how Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes and Furiosa were supposed to come out the same time this weekend. That was the plan for a while. I knew it wasn't going to happen because it would be a terrible decision. And so Disney wised up and moved it up 2 weeks. And look at the box office. I mean, yeah, Disney definitely made a wise choice because Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is literally the only movie that's not doing awful right now. The only like big movie that's not doing terrible right now. So yeah, but yeah, I've only talked about Furiosa properly one time, and that was episode 79. So if you want to watch that episode or any other episodes I've done, I'm now made 247, 48, yeah, 247 episodes. So if you want to watch any of the past cancel episodes I made, you want to binge them all from beginning to now, I highly encourage you to do that. So go do it. There's also box office recaps where I go over the box office results for any particular month. May recap will be coming up between the 7th and the 14th of June. I'm really not going to like making that video because it's just going to piss me off just seeing good movies just die out there. That's never fun. Never fun to witness. So, but stay tuned for that video. But if you want to watch any of the past re- sorry, recap videos I made on the channel, you can go right ahead. And yeah, that's it. That's all. I am out. Goodbye.